This is the Angels in Politics broadcast. Of course, I am your host, the White Collar Goon, the creative and artistic manifestation of Angels in Politics. I hope you have already had your meal because I have not. I want to give you this tidbit of information before I go into finishing this book, The Giver. Which I suggest, well, I can't suggest you to read it. I haven't finished it, but I suggest you should read it. Put that on the spectrum. Guys, I know you might feel that some of this content is a bit colorful, it's a bit off-putting, it might be on-putting, it might be somewhere on the spectrum whereby you're like, I don't really fuck with it, but there could be some truth to it. Anyway, either way you feel about it, that's fine. I want you to interpret it. I want you to evaluate it. I want you to meditate on it. I want you to internalize it. If you discard it, if you denounce it, renounce it, that's fine. But at least delve into your ethos or feelings and determine why it is that you feel that way. That would be great. But I want to put this out to you because this is something that I had a personal issue with. This is my own struggle, and my struggle was the ego. My struggle was with my pride. My struggle was with my internal projection of myself and how I should be seen, how I should be received, how I should be, how life should be according to my belief system here. And if you are walking, talking, manifesting that type of reality, if you have that encumbrance, if you have that limitation surrounding you, unfortunately, it's going to take over. It's going to prevent you from your blessings. It's going to prevent you from your miracles. It's going to prevent you from prospering. It's going to prevent you from prosperity. It's a preventative measure. It's a preventative, or it's a defensive barrier. It's not good. It's placing a ceiling. It's a ceiling on your growth, and one person's ceiling is another person's floor. One woman's ceiling is another woman's floor. I mean, so you got to understand that, like, that's what the ego is. So for guys, like, I really want to keep it all the way a hundo because I do a lot of content and I push a lot of content for girls because I am, femininity's cheerleader at this moment in time, or I am the elected, or I'm running for that election for femininity's cheerleader. But for guys, like, I speak this directly, and I want to speak clearly and concisely, or in a concise manner, to you. We can't we can't have this struggle of competing with the women. We can't be adversarial against women. We can't put up this wall, or this fence, or this barrier whereby it's us versus them. Thereby there's always this conflict. Thereby we have to promote or push or project images and discontent and frustration and disparagement. Like, there needs to be a cycle of conflict because we feel that we are against them. We aren't aligned with them. We can't be that way because that's fallen into the trap of the perpetual cycle of non-productivity, of destruction, of things that aren't constructive, right? We want to have a constructive relationship with our polar opposites, with our sexual opposites, with our yin and yang, with our up and down, with our left and right, with our sisters, with our mothers, with our relationship partners, with our... That's what we want. That's the truth, right? Guys, we can't compete with them. We can't be upset with the sexual dynamics. That's why I have this platform for sexual politics. That's why I have the platform as a spiritual politician, because that's why I utilize this platform, because we need to speak about the political topics. The political topics are the topics that aren't talked about, right? Sex, politics, religion. Well, that's what the fuck life is about, right? Because we are indoctrinated and we are programmed to be adversarial with sex, politics, and religion, to the point, so much to the point that if we don't have the same belief system, if we don't share the same, if we're not on the same side of the spectrum, of religion, sex lives, or religion and sex and politics, then we can't be friends. We can't be in alignment. We can't coexist. We have to stop right there. And that's not the truth. Guys, we can't compete with women in regards to sex and the sexual dynamics and the sexual ecosystem and the sexual atmosphere and the biological and the animal kingdom and the biological kingdom and the social dynamics and the social hierarchy of the world. Guys, sex is more in the favor of the woman. It's more in favor of the women. You can be Richard Gere in the 80s. You can be Denzel Washington right now. You can be young Shamar Moore. You can be young Johnny Depp. You can be Captain America, literally. You can be Superman, literally. You can be a fucker in a fucking cape with an 8-pack chiseled face, and you sit down in the middle of your busiest shopping center. Women are not going to come to you, sit down, and offer their sexual femininity or their divine femininity. They're not going to sexually advance themselves towards you. They'll talk to you, maybe they'll look at you, they'll maybe drop passive hints, but it won't happen that way. You don't have to be Superwoman. You don't have to be Wonder Woman. You don't have to be Holly Berry or anything Holly or anything Holly favored or anything. You don't need to be that at all. You just need to be a woman, and you can be a woman of this side of the spectrum or this side of the spectrum, and your offers, not for sex, just for anything, just sitting down in your local Starbucks, sitting down in your local anywhere. If you're a woman and you're sitting down, people are going to come to speak to you, and you're going to find out the more as you experience life that women have a lot of men that come to speak to them, because that's how the dynamics of life are. Like, men are going to approach you for sex, and women determine whether they accept your approaches, accept your advances. You cannot compete with them and call them hoes. You cannot compete with them and call them thoughts. You can't compete with them and call them pejorative names and make them feel inferior or make them feel bad or make them feel down or make them feel less than, simply because you do not have the same options and availability in regards to sex as them. They don't have to be Sailor Moon, even though they are. They don't have to be the Powerpuff Girls, even though they are. They don't have to be a superhero that is an astronaut and has the body of a cheerleader and goes to Pilates classes and has her double PhD degree and is an electrical engineer. She doesn't have to do that. She could just be a girl, and guys want to put themselves inside of them. I'm sorry. That's the truth. You can be the best guy of all time. You can be the community leader. You can be the preacher, pastor. You can be the greatest guy. But listen, unless you're a winner, unless you have confidence, unless you have a way with yourself, women are not going to approach you and give you anything. Why? You're a guy. And if you're a guy, you need to be masculine. If you need to find your masculinity, it's there. It's fucking deep in there, and you need to go into the darkness. You need to face it. But that's your insecurity. Your insecurity is your fear. Your insecurity is like you're waiting for women to acknowledge you. You're waiting to be valued by women. You're waiting for the women to project, to confirm that you're handsome, and they won't. The women won't confirm that you can have sex with me, because they won't. The women won't confirm that you can get all of this, because they won't. They won't. That's not how it goes for them. That's not how it's been for them when they were 14. That's not how it's been for them when they were 24. It's not how it's been for them when they're 44 or 64. So that's not how women roll. You can't compete. You can't compete. You shouldn't compete. Align yourself. This is my truth.